Welcome back, everybody. Today's deep dive is going to be pretty unique.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about how faith groups are tackling food challenges around the world.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we're taking a look at an article from the World Resource Institute. It's called How Faith Groups Are Tackling the World's Food Challenges.
Okay.
And we're going to, kind of dive deep into the connections between our religious beliefs, our practices, and, well, what we eat.
Yeah. What we eat, how it's grown, how it's distributed, and even how we can reduce waste, right?
Exactly.
It's fascinating how much overlap there is.
Yeah. And the article opens with a quote that really got me thinking. It's by Dr. Elisa Assayon from Loyola University in Rome, and she says that what we eat is very intimate and very personal, yet it is also collective and political.
Hmm. That is a good one.
It really
It
is.
highlights that tension between our individual choices and then like the broader impact those choices have. Like, for example,
Mm.
on the environment.
Exactly. Our personal preferences, well, they have these ripple effects. They can affect climate change, deforestation, biodiversity, the whole nine yards.
Exactly. And that's where these social norms, especially within faith groups, can be so powerful. Think about it. If your community encourages certain dietary practices or promotes reducing food waste, it becomes that much easier for you to do the same.
Right? It's like having a built-in support system.
Exactly. And the article talks about how faith-based organizations are involved in, well, pretty much every stage of the food chain.
It does,
From
yeah.
community farms and kitchens,
Right.
food banks, they're even influencing food policy on like a bigger scale.
So it's not just charity work, it's really about changing the system, huh?
Exactly. They're advocating for fair labor practices, they're promoting plant-based diets, they're trying to reduce food waste. It's pretty comprehensive.
And the article brings up a great example of how those social norms can have a real impact, even with something as simple as, well, meatless Mondays, or in this case, meat-free Fridays.
Ah, yes. The Catholic bishops in England and Wales called for those back in 2011.
Yeah,
And the results were quite surprising.
yeah. They did a study and found that meat consumption among UK Catholics actually dropped by 28%.
That's huge. Think about that. That's 42 million fewer meat meals per year.
It really shows how just a little nudge, when it's rooted in those deeply held beliefs, can have such a positive impact.
Oh, yeah. And those 42 million meals, that translates to about 55,000 tons of carbon emissions saved.
Wow. It really puts things in perspective.
Yeah, it's like preventing like over 82,000 transatlantic flights. Crazy, right?
Makes you wonder what other traditions could help, kind of shift our food culture towards sustainability, huh?
Definitely. Now, the article also talks about the Sikh concept of seva. Have you heard that?
I have selfless service, right?
Yes. And it manifests in something called langar.
Langar.
Langar, which are community kitchens, basically.
Yeah.
And these things are pretty incredible.
They are. I was reading about the Golden Temple in Amritsar. They feed like 50,000 to 100,000 people every single day.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you see langar all over the
Langar, it's
world. Pretty cool.
It is. And what's interesting is that langar isn't about feeding only Sikhs. It's about, like, recognizing the oneness of humanity. It's about making sure everyone has a meal.
Food as a tool for social change, not just sustenance. That's pretty profound.
It is. Now let's switch gears a bit. The article also talks about the Islamic concept of tayyib, meaning pure,
Taib. Okay.
and how it's influencing halal food production.
I'm curious about that. Yeah.
So traditionally, halal is focused on permissible ingredients, but tayyib is a bit more holistic. It also takes into account like the entire production process.
So it's not just about what's in the food, but also how it was produced.
Exactly. Is it ethically sourced? Is it environmentally responsible? Is it actually good for your health? These are all things that are considered.
So something like, say, mass-produced chicken with its potential harm to the environment might not meet that tayyib standard for some Muslims.
That's a good example, yeah. And this idea connects to another Islamic principle called mizan.
Mizan.
Mizan. It emphasizes balance and interconnection. So applying that to our food system, means recognizing that our choices have consequences, not just for ourselves, but for everyone and for the planet.
So it's connecting things like food justice and climate change.
Exactly. And it really makes you think about how your own values influence your food choices. I mean, what stood out to you the most so far?
I think what's striking me is that these faith-based approaches to food, they're not just about personal beliefs, they're about creating a fairer and more sustainable world for everyone.
I completely agree.
And it doesn't have to feel like this heavy burden. There's still so much joy and community in it.
That's what I love about it,
And
yeah.
like Shannon Shaw, director of Faith for the Climate, said, food is something joyful that brings people together. And it's true, right? Who doesn't love a good meal with friends?
Exactly. It's about connection.
It is, and it reminds us that our food choices aren't just personal. They're ethical, they're social, they're even political.
Yeah. And those choices have far-reaching consequences.
They do.
It's all interconnected.
Yeah.
And realizing that can be a powerful motivator for change.
So, like, what if you're not part of a specific faith? Can you still be a part of this kind of, collective action around food?
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, faith traditions offer a great framework, but the basic ideas apply to everyone,
Mm.
right? Compassion, responsibility for the planet, a desire for a just society. These are things that can inspire anyone to think more carefully about their food choices.
Yeah, it's about tapping into those shared values,
That's it.
finding ways to actually live them out.
And realizing that food choices aren't just personal.
Yeah.
They have these ethical and social, even political dimension.
Right. And there are so many ways to get involved. I mean, you can support local farmers,
Yeah,
reduce waste at home. You can even advocate for like better food policies, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And don't underestimate the power of just talking to people about it.
Yeah, starting conversations.
With your friends, family,
Exactly.
every little thing helps,
It does, yeah.
especially when we all do it together.
It's empowering, It feels like we can make a difference.
We can. And remember, it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom, right? We can still enjoy food.
Yeah.
Remember what Shannon Shaw said about making social justice enjoyable?
Yeah.
It's about celebrating good food.
Yes.
Food that nourishes us
Right.
in every sense of the word.
It's interesting. The article talks about how we need more research, more collaboration
Right.
to really understand how faith is shaping these sustainable food systems.
Absolutely. I mean, we're just scratching the surface here.
We are.
But that's what makes it so exciting. We're at a real turning point, where these faith-based approaches are finally getting some recognition.
It feels like it, yeah.
And it's a chance to completely rethink how we relate to food,
Yeah.
reconnect with our values, and, build a better world.
Right, one bite at a time.
I love that. One bite at a time.
It makes it feel, I don't know, more doable,
Yeah, like we can all be a part of it.
Exactly.
Who knows? Maybe you'll even start your own, interfaith climate picnic.
I love that idea. Okay, listeners, it's time to wrap up this deep dive. But before we go, we want to leave you with a question to ponder. So could your faith, or even just your personal values, inspire you? Inspire you to take action on food sustainability? Or maybe food justice?
That's a big one. Yeah.
It is. But it's worth thinking about.
It really is. And I mean, there's no one right answer.
That's true, but that's what makes it so interesting.
It is.
Maybe you're inspired by, the Sikh tradition of langar,
Yeah.
and you feel like, hey, maybe I should volunteer at a food bank. Or maybe you learn about Tayyib,
Right.
and it makes you think about your own food choices.
Mhm.
It's all about what resonates with you.
It is.
But the main takeaway here, I think, is that you don't have to be, some kind of religious scholar
Right.
or a sustainability expert,
To make a difference.
to make a difference. Yeah. We can all do our part.
We can. Every little bit helps.
And like we've been talking about, it's those little actions
Yeah.
that can inspire others.
Absolutely.
It's that ripple effect,
Exactly.
creating positive change.
It all starts with that awareness, with making the connection between, what we believe and what we do.
It does.
Once you see that impact, it changes things.
Well said. So listeners, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep asking those tough questions.
Keep the conversation going.
Because, well, this is a team effort,
It is.
creating a more sustainable and just food system.
For everyone.
And it's about all of us coming together, one bite at a time,
I like that.
to nourish ourselves, our communities, our planet.
Beautifully said. Let's make each bite count.
That's it for our deep dive into faith and food systems. We hope you found this conversation as insightful as we did.
We did.
Until next time, happy eating.
Happy
And may your food choices be filled with purpose and joy.